don't have Jack, then he's doing all right.
He's doing pretty good.
Keeping him in line.
Did I tell you?
Something else.
Well, actually,
No, because I
Not
never,
that bad.
ever. I would regret it. Yes. I thought they should leave to the person What you smiling at, Lee? Just blowing me a smile. How'd you know I needed one? I needed one. I got it. Charlie, ma'am? Charlie finished that? Did she finish her training and what she was trying to do, Charlie?
It is now 5:30. I'll call the meeting to order. Just want to welcome Dr. Finch as the new superintendent, his first meeting up here with us. So if you'll stand with me, we'll do the invocation and pledge. Lord, we're just thankful for another great day. We're thankful for new beginnings and new starts and the excitement that brings. And Lord, now just give us wisdom and guidance as we make decisions in the best interest of our students, teachers, parents, and the community. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first agenda item is approval of the agenda. Is there anything we need to add?
Move we approve the agenda as presented.
Got a motion, Dr. Dolster. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Ms. Bowden? All right, any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. And I failed to mention that Mr. Jenkins is running a few minutes late and Dr. Goodwin is out of town, so Mr. Jenkins will be here in a few minutes, so that was a 5-0. All right. Next up is the approval of minutes from our June 13th meeting. Is there
Make a motion to
All right.
approve. Second.
got a motion and a second? Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, raise your hand. All right, it's 5-0. All right. Next up will be our fundraiser request. That are the consent items.
All right. As you can tell,
School is about to get started back up. We do have a healthy portion of them. Most of them are extracurriculars at the high school and middle school level, but there are some PTO requests from Kitty Sutton and Hubbard Elementary. But we've made sure that we check the dates to make sure that they're starting in times. And I'm sure there'll be some more that are coming after school gets set up as well. But
Move to approve all consent items.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, any discussion? All right, all those in favor, raise your hand. All right, then that is 5-0. All right, so next up will be the school annual reports, and I'll let Dr. Finch guide that one.
okay, if you remember, this is one of the big cornerstones of what our performance culture is here in Monroe County Schools, and that being an annual report given by each school during the July Board of Education meeting. And again, along with data rooms and visual reporting and our CIP and balanced scorecard, we pretty much count these as the cornerstones of what we try to call school improvement, being able to monitor that. So without further ado, we do have an order in which we're going to do this, and I would like to call up Ms. Chapman and KB Sutton Elementary, and she will go through her presentation. We have these set at 10 minutes apiece, and so they're going to do their best to make sure that you're duly advised on the highlights of this most recent school year. So Ms. Chapman, we'll turn it over to you.
All right, well, good evening. I'm Christina Chapman, the principal of KB Sutton, and I'm excited to be reporting out on our very first year, or my very first year. It was a whirlwind, but I'm glad I got that first year under my belt and ready to see what the future holds. So our vision is to provide a foundation of excellence for students to be successful in their futures. And we aim to develop high-achieving students who are respectful, responsible, and safe. This is a look at our student enrollment. We have approximately 683 students, and we're growing every day. Here's a breakdown of our demographics. We have 63% of our students who are economically disadvantaged, 69% white, 23% African American, 4% Hispanic, and 4% multiracial. Special services. In our special education department, we have 18% of our students who participate in that, 9% in the gifted program. EIP, or early intervention program, we have 13% of our population who are served through that program. 6% for student support, and 6% of our students are served through 504. Here's a look at the staff demographics for years of experience. You can kind of tell that it's spread out all over the place, but the part to really consider is the fact that we have 9 and now we'll have 10 with one of our new hires who have less than 3 years experience. So we know there's where we have to put a lot of efforts in training, modeling, and feedback. Here's demographics for highest degree earned. We have about 19 with bachelor's degree, 22 with master's, and 17 with specialists. We had one of our teachers, Ms. Bumgardner, who became gifted endorsed this year. Ms. Kaylee Collier, the 3 through 5 online learning teacher for the district, got her teacher leader endorsement. And we had Ms. Blash, who participated in Aspiring Leaders program, and now she is our new assistant principal. So we're happy to have her on board with the admin team. We try to provide a lot of events throughout the year just to build our culture and climate and motivate students to do their best through Math Whiz Kids, Accelerated Reader, and things like that. So here are just a few of our highlights. We have Math Night, Readathon, Art Night. We brought on this year Dunk the Principal. That was a new one. We knew we had to spice it up with a new administration and do something different, and they absolutely loved getting to dunk us. If they met their goals for the milestone, if they met their milestone goal, they were able to dunk us. So that was a fun day. It just happened to be freezing cold that day, and it wasn't a day that should have been cold, but of course it was freezing. So I, being the smart person that I am, went and heated up we got the big boiler in the cafeteria, and I heated up a bunch of water, and I was dragging coolers out there. I was like, I can't be freezing in that water, but it was fun. We enjoyed it. We have PBIS celebrations monthly, and that's just part of our PBIS to make sure that we are rewarding students for good behavior. The Wizard of Oz, if you all had a chance to see that, it was phenomenal. That was our musical this year. I don't know how we're gonna follow that one up. It was really good. All right, we also have night honors. We have our Sutton Silos sprint, which promotes wellness. So the kids participate in a little sprint, and it's a big ordeal, and they get medals, and a lot of sponsors help contribute to that event as well. And then our honors days. We have Career Day, All Pro Dads, and our AR celebrations. We have lots of student highlights, so I won't read through each one, but I did want to talk about the State Science Fair because there were 6 ribbons awarded to Monroe County Schools, and KB Sutton brought home 3 of those, so we're super proud of that. Young Georgia Authors, we had a first place winner in 3rd grade, Anila Smith, and also in 5th grade, Devin Mathis. And then Anila went on to place 1st in our RESA, and Devin also went on to place 2nd in our RESA. So really proud of those writers, especially since literacy is a huge initiative. We're really happy that they are taking that on and running with it, and not only placing at the school level, but the district and also RESA levels. The system spelling bee winner came from KB Sutton, and that was Trip Story. We had lots of students that participated in the student media project. The Student Media Festival, and we had lots of those projects that went on to state, and they're listed here. The Monroe County Chamber came to KB Sutton and awarded our students for the highest reading level and also the greatest reading gain, so we're proud of these K through 5th graders that earned those awards. We had all of these students here, let's see, we had 7 millionaire readers, and 1 even read 2 million words, Joseph Matches. So we were super proud of him. They got to choose where they wanted to have lunch and have lunch catered in, so they really, really enjoyed that. We had students participate in the Tone Society Awards, which is a literacy club, and they get to read books, discuss books, and then also compete at events like virtual and in-person events. And so these are our winners from one of the in-person competitions that they had for Tone Society. For the stock market game, KB Sutton, the Golden Investors, these 3 ladies here that make up the Golden Investors team, they took home 1st place for the RESA, so we were really excited. They even gave the little high school club a run for their money, so we were happy that they placed 1st for our RESA. We had Rose Vance in 3rd grade place 1st place for the fire prevention poster contest, and Keely Mullis for 3rd. And our teacher of the year is Miss Smallwood. We're very proud of Miss Smallwood. She's been at KB Sutton for like 15 years, and she works really hard to make sure all of our students get what they need. We had a teacher, Miss Arnold, in 3rd grade be nominated by one of her 3rd grade students as My Teacher is Top. So at the beginning of last year, we had 13 WMAZ come out and give us a visit and do a story on that. So we are proud of her. These 5 staff members wrote grants and received funding through those grants, through Dollar General, Donors Choose, Frax Math, Family Connections, and Fernbank Museum. This is a picture of our volunteer celebration. We had about 2,500 volunteer hours this year. So, and we also trained 16 new parent volunteers to assist directly with classroom instruction. So we've really been leaning on our parents and families and the community to really help us with some of these literacy goals that we have for KB Sutton. Very thankful for those helpers. We have about 76 community partners, and last year when I was here presenting, we only had 1 slide, but we had to add a slide because we picked up around 20 new partners, so very happy about that. Here are our Georgia milestones, like summary results. In 3rd grade reading, 4th grade reading, and 5th grade reading status, we increased in each area. We also increased in 4th grade math from 90% to 93%. The areas in green show growth. In the areas in yellow, we did decrease some, but the percentages are still really high, so we wanted to note that. 81% of our students scored at developing or higher for 3rd through 5th ELA. We had 88% score developing or higher, and what, did I say the wrong thing?
That's your 2-minute warning.
I'm okay. Oh, sorry. Well, thank you. 90%.
I wasn't saying peace.
Okay, sorry. All right, 90% of students scored at developing or higher in 5th grade math, 89 developing or higher in 5th grade ELA, 93% developing or higher in 4th grade, and our 4th graders increased 6 percentage points as judged by the last year, and our 5th graders increased 14 percentage points as judged by last year. So that growth is what we're really looking for, so we're excited to see that what we're doing at KB Sutton is working to close some of those literacy gaps. Areas of focus, school safety, always. We have some things in place to make our campuses even more safe this year. Improving the writing process, and improving guided reading. We're going to keep going with those initiatives. Increasing phonemic awareness and phonics instruction, and improving students' understanding of number sense. Did I meet it?
Good. Do y'all have any questions for Ms. Chapman?
Sounds like an exciting year.
Yes.
Can you introduce your 2 APs?
I sure can. Miss Daphne Blash and Mr. T. Elisha, if y'all stand up, that's our
Y'all stand up here where all the
I can't
board members
see.
can see too. There you go. There we go.
Ms. Blash was our instructional coach, and now she's moved up to assistant principal. Mr. T is back.
Well, we're very proud of y'all, and you did a very good job in your first year as principal there at KB Sutton. So.
Thank you.
All right, next we'll have Dr. McCord, and she will be doing the Hubbard Elementary presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. All right, so our mission is to provide all learners with opportunities to acquire the knowledge, skills, and experiences necessary to build meaningful and productive lives in a global society. And our vision is to inspire lifelong problem solving and academic excellence by engaging students with real life STEM activities. Our demographics, as you can see, we have a total, at the end of May, we had a total of 784 students, which was a little bit over 100, increase of 100 students from the previous year. So we really grew. We had to add 3 additional teachers for this upcoming school year. So we are really growing and excited about it. Our student gender, for males, of course, we have 54%, and our females, 46%. Student ethnicity, we have 28% African American, 61% Caucasian, 1% Asian. Instructional supports, 16% of our population is gifted students. We have 17% who are in the MTSS process or have a 504. We have 32% of our population that are in EIP. 19% of our population receive special education services. And then we have 16% of our population who receive no services at all. Our staff demographics, we actually have a pretty seasoned staff. So we have about 57% of our staff that have between 11 and 35 years of service. Highest degree earned, we have 27.8% with a bachelor's degree, 26.7% with a master's, 17.8% with a specialist degree, and 3.3% with a doctorate. Staff with endorsement, we have a lot of teachers with a variety of endorsements. Several have more than one. But right now, the most is 26.6% with a reading endorsement, and then next would be 20.3% of our staff with a gifted endorsement. We have 4 pages of highlights, so I'm just going to keep it very brief. One of the things we started this school year was La Tiger Boutique, and that was established for students in need, whether it be a student who has an accident and they need additional clothing. We have families that need to come and shop, but we have a private section for them. It's on a hallway where there's not a lot of traffic, so they can come in during the school day, after school hours, and shop and get whatever they need. We had 379 students who we were able to take to Camp Kaleo for meeting their accelerated reader goals. The kids had a blast, we had a blast. We also had several kids who were millionaire readers. So State School Superintendent Woods came out during their celebration at Howell State Park to congratulate the students and take a picture with them. We had 26 students who met that goal. We had 2 students, one who read over 5 million words and another one who read over 7 million words. So we were very proud of them. 2 of our 2 robotics coaches, Ms. Parham and Ms. Sykes, had the opportunity to go to Georgia Tech and see one of their biometrics labs, and that really helped them and kind of sparked some more interest in robotics. Our annual art show was a huge success. This past year, it was ran solely by the art club students, and they did a phenomenal job. They actually took the students' artwork that was purchased, they framed it, and then they took the payments from the parents. Another highlight, this kind of happened towards the end of the school year. One of our 4th grade teachers, Kira Davis, sparked an interest with bees. So she actually reached out to a local beekeeper who came in, talked to the kids about how everything worked. We got a grant to purchase the items that they needed, and so they are in the process. We actually have bees. They will be selling honey next school year, hopefully. But this actually kind of helps several different areas, not only the curriculum, but it also helps our bat habitat that we've had for a couple of years. We had a couple of grant winners this school year. One that I just mentioned, Kira Davis, received a $1,000 grant from Burns and McDonald. And Krista Strauss received a $640 grant from Southern Rivers Energy. This past school year, we had 81 business community partners. That's just a small few of them. We had over 204 trained volunteers this past year, and we too had a celebration in May to thank them for all that they do. Our milestones data, and as you can see, there's a comparison from last school year to this school year. There are several areas where we increased. If we went down, it was only by a couple of percentage points. So for 3rd grade ELA, we increased from 81% last year to 83% this year, and this is developing or higher. For mathematics, we dropped a little bit. We went from 92% to 90%. Still proud of that score. 4th grade, we went from 82% to 80%, and for 4th grade math, we went up 2 percentage points from 91% to 93%. For 5th grade, we went from 94% to 93%. In mathematics, we dropped down a little bit from 93% to 89%. And then in science, we dropped a little bit from 90% to 84%. A few of our academic highlights, we had 91% of all students in grades 3 through 5 that scored at developing or higher. The percentage of students in grade 3 achieving a Lexile score, which is on grade level 670, increased from 58% to 65%. The percentage of students in grade 4 achieving a grade level Lexile score increased from 58% to 65% as well. We had 82% of our economically disadvantaged students who scored developing or higher in grades 3 through 5. Our 5th grade cohort increased from 82% to 93% scoring at developing or higher. 82% of our 4th grade students with disabilities scored at developing or higher in math. 88% of our 4th grade African American students scored at developing or higher in math. And 95% of our 3rd grade students with disabilities students scored at developing or higher in math. Oops. I don't know what I just did. There it is. Our areas of focus for next school year, school safety measures. We will continue to monitor health and sanitation protocols, engage all staff members in training so they know what to do in the case of an emergency, implement a strategy, communication strategy to all stakeholders, just reminding them and keeping them informed about our school safety measures. And then of course, student achievement, increasing the percentage of students reading on or above grade level, increasing the percentage of students achieving math whiz kids, continuing to implement Sunday phonics in grades pre-K through 3rd, and continuing the implementation of 6+1 traits of writing. And then of course, continuing to work towards our STEM recertification. And we hope to have that by fall of next school year. Any questions?
Okay, any questions? Do you mind having your APs walk up here and let our board members see them as well?
I want to know how much time I have left.
Oh, you have less than 2, but
My
hey,
note was
you're doing
5
great.
minutes, but-
You did great. Right when you finished, Ms. Elders said you had 2 minutes left.
All right, so I only have one AP tonight. My other one was off, so I gave them a break. This is Miss Sharita Brown, one of our assistant principals, and Ms. Juana DeMichael. She is our instructional coach, and they both do a phenomenal job.
Well, this is Dr. McCord's second year completed, so she's about to start her 3rd year as the principal there at Hubbard Elementary.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Thank
All right. Next, we'll have Mr. Sanders and T.G. Scott Elementary.
All right. We'll go ahead and get started. Chad Sanders, my second year at T.G. Scott. Every year we have done a theme. So T.G. Scott this year, let me start with our mission and vision. Our mission at T.G. Scott is to create lifelong learners who are responsible, respectful, and safe. And our vision is to provide opportunities for kids to be successful in their future. Demographics at T.G. Scott, we had a current enrollment of 840, total of 102 staff. We're serving 300 students, EIP 120 students with SPED, and 140 gifted kids. So we've got a large people group in each of those areas. The ED percentage is at 40% at T.G. Scott. This is my staff. I'm blessed to have an incredible staff. We've hired a lot of new people over the past few years. This theme this year was Game On. And if you see the picture here, you see each hall had a different theme. So this is like the rookie training for pre-K and kindergarten, and they would implement those in their classrooms, like first and second was all-stars and different things. So we had a lot of fun with them. We started out the year with a field day for the staff, and this is a balloon toss you see here. I will say blue team won. I just happened to be on blue team. They say I stacked the team, but I promise you I did. We had 19 new staff we hired last year. Over the last 2 years, we've had 32 new staff members at T.G. Scott. And I say that because we've spent a lot of time focusing on building culture and climate at T.G. Scott. We had a monthly socials every month. This was our first one of the year. We had a cornhole social at the school. We had pizza and just hanging out, fellowship. Had a lot of fun. I'm not going to say who won because he's a very humble person. He wouldn't want anybody to know, but that's him right there with his winning partner.
Stack the team again there?
Yes, that's what they say. Some more team building. Every time we had events, we had team building. This was one activity that one of our staff led where you would describe something, you had to draw it without seeing it. So the person that won was Miss Pritchett and Miss White with drawing a chicken. But you can't tell if it's a chicken. You have to just describe shapes and stuff. So this is the type of things we did to help build the culture and climate. We did a lot with the community. This is one of our grandparents' night on the left, and on the right is a Zaxby's night that we had in Uptown and getting the community involved. We had clubs. We reinstituted clubs across the board from 1st through 5th grades and met regularly, and kids had a lot of fun building relationships and doing things that ordinarily wouldn't get to do. Some of our milestone highlights, the green there with 5th grade. 5th grade just blew it out of the water with ELA and math, and you can see some of their scores with from 82 to 85%, 77, 76% in reading status, which is the ones reading on grade level. 5th grade math was at overall 96%, and ELA 5th grade ELA was at 82% or 92%. So we've been very, very happy with what they've done this year. Balanced scoreboard is our report card. So green is good, red is areas for improvement. Just to highlight the balanced scorecard, percent of teachers retention raised from 75 to 98%, which is retaining the teachers that you're bringing in, which is good. And student involvement in co-curricular activities raised from 48 to 84%. Fundraisers. TG Scott has been incredible at fundraisers. At the beginning of the year with our fund run, we raised over $17,000. Our readathon at the end of the year, we raised $27,000. And I think part of the success was the things that got our staff to do. And I give kudos to my assistant principals for jumping in, kissing pigs, sleeping on the roof, getting doused with water in carts. I mean, we did a lot for the culture, and that's what made it fun. That's what made it exciting. That's what the kids will remember years from now. Other things we implemented this year, literacy news was something new that we started. So every week we highlight a different student in a book that they've read, and that helps increase the awareness of reading and the importance. And every week we had different ones. We talked about it, we put them in the Bear Bites and recognized the kids. Millionaire Club, we had over 25 kids that are millionaires. No, not financially, but at least in how many words they read. But it was exciting for them. We took them to Marco's and then Scoops. We rolled out the red carpet, got a limousine. They had a lot of fun with it. And, Media Festival had 14 projects, won state level honors, highlighting the work of 46 TG Scott students at the Media Festival. Business partners. We had over 55 business partners which supported us from buying folders for teachers to sponsoring events during the year. Our areas of focus, strategic objective 2, improving school safety, is really our number one objective. Safety is always our focus. But improving student achievement, we'll continue to increase percentage of students achieving reading on grade level, increase percentage of students achieving math, bare facts in grades 1 through 3. We might improve in ELA. It's kind of like whack-a-mole. When you improve in one, another one pop up because you're more focused on another one, so we constantly keep that as a focus. Continue to maintain phonics instruction, daily practices in K through 2, using Haggerty and Sunday. Increase use of best practices through I can statements, HOTS questions, rubrics, and checklists. So some of those are a result of the Elliott review that we saw. Continue to improve strategies for students in the writing process of 6+1, which we just implemented this year. Some of the staff highlights. We had over 16 teachers that participated in different professional learning opportunities, which is a high number of staff to be involved with that. We had 15 teachers involved with different endorsements, from STEM endorsements to gifted endorsements. Just a lot of teachers committed to growing in that path. Other staff highlights, on the student surveys, one of the students we found out said they'd never been on a field trip because of COVID. The years we didn't do field trips, so we made an expectation and said we want every teacher to take their class on a field trip this year. So that was one of the highlights that the staff mentioned the kids loved. The 6+1 writing traces I mentioned, we implemented that in full capacity this year through MG RESA training, and then staff training at faculty meetings where we emphasized the writing process, and we'll continue to do that. One thing that we did for the culture of the schools, Fuel Up Fridays, a PBIS team would break out coffee and bagels, or coffee and donuts, or coffee and waffles every Friday for our staff as they came in, to get them excited to kind of finish out the week strong, and to just get them, encourage them to get through the day and finish out the week. Other student highlights, we did some fundraisers like raising money for the Down Syndrome Society, as well as socks for Sammy Mitchell, one of our teachers at our school whose son has been battling cancer. So we've had some students compete at the state level at lamb shows, and it was one of our sweet girls over, Emily Jeremiah, did well in the showmanship category. We also had students participate in the science fair. We had 5 students placed at the state level. The AR bike winners at the end of the year, we had bikes provided for each grade level for every child who met their AR goals each category, each of the 3 semesters, or not three time periods. Name was put in a hat, and then they got a bike. It was funny because one kid got a pink bike, and he's like, "Oh, I want this." I said, "Well, you can take it back. Well, let's just switch it out." Bear Bash events. And we really, I feel like all of the elementary schools do a good job rewarding kids. And one of the things that we did was we brought in a reptile wrangler. If you remember Okefenokee Joe back when we were in school, well, this is the Okefenokee version of that. But it was funny having him there with the kids. Bear Camp, again, was a highlight this year. We had our teachers, Ms. Renfro and Ms. Colley, dressing up as dinosaurs and reading a book, "Do Not Bring Your Dragon to the Library." And they're really committed to the full-scale love of reading with the kids. book blast. We had over 3,000 books passed out at the end of the year to kids. Some kids went home with 10 books, but every kid went home with at least 2 books at the end of the year through a book blast fundraiser where she was encouraging reading. And our science nights, math nights, reading nights, we were well over 450 people each of those nights participating. Just a lot of involvement, a lot of support from the community. And that wraps me up. So any questions?
Any questions, Mr. Sanders?
Good.
Could you bring your APs up? And let
I would love
the board
to.
see them as well.
Mr. Taylor and Ms. Tarver, if y'all come up. And this is Miss Ashley Tarver and Mr. Marcus Taylor. They've been with me for 2 years now, and in the same 2 years I've been here, we've grown and learning. We didn't make the same mistakes we made last year. Getting better every year.
Well, Mr. Sanders has completed his 2nd year, and he's about to start his 3rd year as well at T.G. Scott, doing a fantastic job over there. Next, we'll have Dr. Yarber at Monroe County Middle School.
It's an awesome day to be Monroe County Middle School Bulldog. Glad to be here. Hope that you are too. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Of course, you see myself plus some teachers and some students as they enjoy the Valentine's dance that we have each year. This is our biggest event of the year. Students enjoy it. Food, fun, dancing. It's a catered event. When I first started having this event, I didn't think it would take off the way it has, and I guess I'm just stuck now. I have to have it. It's the expectation. So we enjoy it, and the kids do as well. Monroe County Middle School. We are ranked in the top 13% of Georgia middle schools still. School Digger ranks us in the top 14% of Georgia middle schools, and Niche ranks us at 12% of public Georgia middle schools. I believe that number is going to go up or be probably in the top 10% as our scores have increased this past year. Hopefully it's 10% or better. So scores, FY22 and FY23. So the light green is where we were, and the dark green is where we are. So for ELA, school as a whole went from 86 to 89%. Math, we stayed the same. Science, we went from 80 to 87%. Social studies, 90 to 92%. In Algebra 1, we went from 99% to 100%. The goal for me as a middle school principal is to have all of our students perform at 90 or better. So that's what we're trying to focus on. We've been doing that incrementally over the years. When I started off tracking us on School Digger in 2014, I believe we were in the 150 range of about 540 something middle schools. We're currently ranked at 81. So we've gone that far. And hopefully we can get down to the 60 and 50 range after these new test scores come out. So I'm waiting to hear about those. It should be any day now. So our Lexile performance. We check our students when they come in, and then at the end of the year. So we test all of our students. Our scores were about 62% in August of 2022, 70% at the end of school. So this is an 80% gain in Lexile level scores, so reading fluency. For our 6th grade students, when they come in, we test them on their facts, their math facts. So when we came in at the beginning of last year in August, our 6th grade students were at 63%. They tested out at 89%, and that's multiplication and division facts for the end of the school year. So we made some great gains in that as well. We have 1,084 students at the middle school. It has dramatically increased since I've been here in 2014. 334 6th grade students, 403 7th grade students, and 345 8th grade students. The 8th graders, of course, are leaving. Our white students, 68%, black students 22%, Hispanics 5%, multiracial 4%, students with disabilities 16%, and economically disadvantaged 41%. So for a school that is economically disadvantaged, we perform very well despite the types of students that we have coming to us. We have the entire gamut from kids who are super smart to not so, and we make it work, and we're still one of the top ranked schools in Middle Georgia. So we have many events at the middle school. Of course, we have many functions, and we have different groups that students are a part of. Chorus is huge. They performed Matilda this past year, Matilda the musical junior. 16 students also represented the middle school at the 2023 Honor Choir event in Millersville. Just some more highlights. Our Robo Dogs, of course, our 6th grade team, they placed 4th in the regionals at Middle Georgia, 1st place in core values. You guys know about our Colton Canines, of course. They won the district competition, 2nd in regionals at Middle Georgia State. And then, of course, they went to California to the Western Edge National Open Invitational in Long Beach. And we were able to fund that trip for them and get them there, and they performed very well there. It's our first time going to Western Edge, and hopefully we'll be able to go to Georgia Tech again at state and go to the Nationals as well. Of course, FFA. We have a bunch of champions in FFA. We have Grand Champion, Junior Forestry, Area 3. Area 3 Reserve Champion, Junior Land Evaluation, 4th in the state with Junior Land Judging. Area 3 Reserve Champions, Environmental National Resources. Area 3 Reserve Champion, Lawnmower Driving. Silver Medal Landscape, Middle School, Record Book. And we have a Silver Medal Livestock person in production. All of these events our students took part in this past year. Our band, 15 students were nominated and accepted to be in our district's honor choir, a band working with conductors from around the country, putting on a performance in a matter of hours. They participated in that. Basketball student, MCMS boys went 11-1 this season. Girls basketball went 5-5. So our track, Peach County meet, 2nd overall out of 3 teams. Monroe County meet, 1st overall out of 3 teams. Doing real good. In our Jackson meet, the boys placed 2nd out of 7 teams, girls placed 1st out of 5. In regional meet, boys placed 5 out of 7 teams, and girls placed 2nd overall out of 7 teams. Football team again, league champions. We did it again. The team went 6-0 in the regular season and defeated Upson Lee in the championship by a score of 14-8. This is the 3rd row in the year the team has competed for the championship. 2nd year that we are league champions. We're sending a great product up to MP. Soccer team, the MCS boys soccer team had a very successful season, finished 9-1. Wrestling, team placed 3rd at the region in the league tournament after losing the semifinals to Pike County. But the wrestlers are still in it to win it. Baseball, softball. Baseball team ended with regular season with 4-4 win-loss record. We have festivals at the middle school. You guys know about them. Of course, a Valentine's Dance. We have Spring Fling in the spring, Fall Festival in the fall. Bulldog Break is a daily behavior incentive that we give every single day that students can earn, where they can go hang out with their friends and socialize. Sometimes we have an extended break or an extended Bulldog Bash for teams that do an exceptionally well job, possibly for having some type of academic rewards as well. Red Ribbon Week, students dress up. They dress up for homecoming week. We have club days once a month. We have over 60 clubs at the middle school. Each teacher has a club, and they have students. We have everything from Legos to robotics to even a volunteer club that goes down the hill to T.G. Scott to help out. Our advanced degrees this year, Ms. Monahan got a Master's of Arts in Teaching, Music Education. Ms. Black, she got a Master's of Arts in Communication, Curriculum and Instruction, excuse me. And our aspiring leaders, Annie Horn, got that endorsement. Gifted was Ms. Choi and Ms. Coleman. Other endorsements were Ms. Groper, MTSS. Ms. Rittenauer, she got Behavior Technician endorsement. Ms. Carr, PBIS endorsement. Dr. Walker, Tier 1 leadership, and Zachary Griffin, our assistant principal as well, Tier 1 leadership. So our focus areas for this upcoming year, fiscal year 24, implementation of data teaming. We use data notebooks and they're digital. We focus on lexile growth and math fact fluency. We focus on SPED connections in ELA. We focus on remedial connections in ELA and math. And we address learning gaps via our weekly flexible learning groups. And we support our teachers and paraprofessionals with needed professional learning throughout the school year. Do we have any questions?
Sounds good.
Thank you, sir.
Can you have your APs come up as well?
Dr. Walker, Mr. Griffin. My assistant principals joined us last year as APs first year. They're going into their second year. They have done a wonderful job. I'm proud of them and I'd like the opportunity to pour into them another year. All right.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Ms. Sarah Alford and Monroe County Achievement Center.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello. I am Sarah Alford. I serve as a proud principal of Monroe County Achievement Center. I have served as principal of Monroe County Achievement Center since September of the current school year. Prior to that, I served as an assistant principal at Mary Ferguson. So it's been a great year, and I'm very thankful. Okay, so this past year we served a total of 145 students from the beginning of the year to the end. Of course, some of those students transitioned to different places if they did not stay. Primarily, they went back to their base school, whether that was Monroe County Middle School or Mary Persons High School, if we did not serve them for the entire full year. In May, we ended our year with 118 students that we served. Our student to teacher ratio was 17:1, which kept us small. We did notice this past year our middle school population has really started to grow. We ended the year with 10 middle school students in 7th and 8th grade. Our 9th grade population was another that really grew like wildfire this year. We had a very high number of 9th graders, and we also had quite a few seniors. So those were our grade levels where we serve the most students. We are primarily male at Monroe County Achievement Center, with males representing 64% of our population and females representing 35.6%. We are also primarily Caucasian, with 47% of our students being Caucasian, followed by African American with 43.2%, and multiracial is less than 1%. Hispanic is 7.6%, Asians less than 1% as well. The types of students that we serve, 28% of our students are credit recovery students. That means that they've just fallen behind academically and they're there to just get caught up. 42% of our students are punitive students, which means that they were placed at the Achievement Center through a disciplinary tribunal. 15% of our students were involved in the flexible learning program, and this program was designed for any student with a 504 and IEP, or for any exceptionality who has exhausted all interventions available at Mary Persons High School. Another 10% of our students are flexible intervention program students, and those are students with an exceptionality or documented intellectual challenge along with minor adaptive and social skills deficits. We also serve atypical students, so that would be representative of 6% of our population, and that's the student who just chooses to be in a smaller, more structured environment. Our staff members, we have 15 staff members, 9 certified and 6 classified. Our degrees, 4 of our staff members have specialist degrees, and of course 2 with masters, and then of course everyone's got a bachelor's degree and doctoral degrees are listed as there. We have 1 teacher with ESOL endorsement already this year. Our projects and grants, our biggest project, and we're really excited about this, is our pickleball project. That is fully supported by the board, and we definitely appreciate that. But that is going to do quite a bit for our students as far as engagement outside of the classroom, and so we're really looking forward to the completion of that the starting and completion of that project. Our highlights, our biggest fundraiser of the year is our annual 5K. We had over 250 participants to sign up for that 5K, but of course, unfortunately, we couldn't have it on the day that we initially planned to have it because of inclement weather. So we actually had it Mother's Day weekend, which was, again, not an ideal weekend, but we had about 100 participants in that. So it's a really, really big community event for us. Our kids really get excited and engaged with it, and it's a fun time. So we took a break because of COVID and everything that was going on, so we were really excited to bring that back this year in person. We were really proud. Some of our highlights, we've got 2 students who participated in a STEM Leadership Institute, so they got to go and stay on campus at Georgia College and State University, and this was something that was sponsored by Georgia Power. And so it was a great opportunity for them to experience what college life is really like, at least for a week or so. We had an Honors Day ceremony this year. We recognized quite a few of our academic high achievers as well, some students who really turned things around. We wanted them to be recognized, so we had that. And we had Young Georgia Authors Writing Competition winners as well. Liza, the young lady in the middle, actually went on to the RISA competition and placed 3rd there as well. And Ethan and Will, we were proud as well because they placed at the district level. Homecoming, we participated in homecoming. We had our float, and so our kids really got excited about being able to do that as well. We partnered with the Department of Corrections for Greater Promise Partnership, so we actually had one kid who successfully completed. You see 3 listed there. We partnered with Mary Persons to do this, but these students actually worked for half a day. They left school around 12:30, and they went to the Department of Corrections, and they worked in things at the state offices, and they worked in record keeping and things like that. So it really gave them some real world experience, and of course the goal is for them to look at career opportunities that are available through the Department of Corrections. So it was really a great partnership and a great opportunity. Our Fabulosity Tea was also great. This is something that we hold for young ladies, and so it is an actual tea party, and so we get dressed up, and they have presenters to come and share information. We have medical professionals, and it's just an opportunity for young ladies to get together and have a good time and learn as well. Our highlights, I can do that. Okay, here we go. We had a 92% graduation rate. We were really proud of that. 33 out of 36 seniors graduated. We had one dual enrollment student who went to Central Georgia Tech part-time. We had one Golden Eagle nominee, very proud of him, and he also served as a JROTC company commander. We talked about the Young Georgia Authors, thank you, writing competition winner. We established our after-school program, which I believe we saw some great benefits from that. We had 7 students accepted to college at the time of this, and under leadership and character development, we established a student leadership team. We talked about the Earth Care 21st Century STEM Leadership Institute participants already. We also established a collaborative board, which was great because it was a community partnership. And so this board actually came and they asked how could we support our MCAC, and so we talked about some things, and they do really good work, and we're really excited. We've got some teachers who serve on that as well, and so it's a really, really good partnership with community folks and our school. We talked about the 5K, Honors Day, workforce development. We had 9 work-based learning participants, 9 seniors who, when they graduated, they already had that job lined up for the very next day. They were able to roll right into the workforce. Our counselor did a very, very good job of actually helping them with applications and things like that. So it was really exciting for them to be able to roll right into work. And the same with the students who were ready to go to college as well. She really sat down with them and helped them through the application process. We had 2 students enlisted in the military, talked about Greater Promise Partnership, and 1 work-based learning student who actually already came on board with Monroe County Schools. And so she will be serving as a cafeteria worker in one of the schools in Monroe County. So we're really excited about that. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, our partners in education, we have 26. We're going to grow that number, but we couldn't do what we do without our partners in education, so we're very thankful for them. Our milestone intercourse data, as you can see, we are making very good progress in American literature and U.S. history. We've got some room to grow. and Algebra 1 and Biology. We are very happy with our Lexile scores because the percentage of students in American literature achieving a Lexile score greater than 1285 increased from 23 to 37%, so we're really happy about that. Our on-track rates, and this I think is a direct result of us pushing students to stay after school and through what we're doing with credit recovery. We saw growth in our on-track rates. With our juniors, the previous year you could see we were at 50% of them being on track at the end of the year. We bumped that up to 69. With sophomores, we went from 56 to 86. And freshmen, we took a little dip, but we were still on track with meeting our target for having students on track at the end of the year. Our areas of focus remain what they were during this past year. Safety is an absolute focus for us. Increasing student achievement remains a focus as well, and utilizing MTSS, which looks very different for us because we're in an alternative setting, and so we have to look at the supports that we're offering. We have to do more, and so we're really, as a staff, looking this year at exactly what that would look like and how we can best support students. And I wanted to leave with this because this is why we do what we do. These guys right here, and they've made us so proud, and we want to continue supporting the work of our teachers, and we want more kids on this board next year. We want to keep pushing, so we appreciate the support of the board to be able to do that. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
All right, you know, Ms. Alford actually started the year at the freshman campus, and she transitioned over to be the principal at Monroe County Achievement Center in September. So thank you for your first great year, and last and certainly not least is Ms. Tammy Marion at Marion Persons High School.
Good evening. I'm Amy Marion, as he said, principal at Marion Persons High School. Y'all need to stand up and stretch and take a little break because Dr. Finch said I had 15 minutes since I went last. He really didn't. He really didn't. So we're going to brag about Marion Persons High School for a few minutes. Did she still? All right, home of the Bulldogs. Oops, I went too far. I'll introduce these at the end. That's been the trend so far. So that's my admin staff. And don't look too close at this picture because you will see Dr. Finch slam in the middle of it, because I realized after my year of joy and whirlwind as a first-year principal, we realized the day after post-planning we forgot to take our faculty photo. So I had to leave this one in here. Majority of them are still with us, but not all of them. But that is, they are the reason we're about to present some of these numbers. They work really hard every year along with us to do the things we need to do in Monroe for the students. All right, so our total staff is 132. Total staff, 39 classified, 93 certified, 83 teachers, and our percentages is 85 to 15 white to African American. All right, our total students at MP, which has even gone up since we posted this PowerPoint, we're at 1288 right now, a few up from last year. We're a little over 1290 right now, 1292 I think is the last number I heard. We're 67.9% white, 23.4% African American, 3.8% Hispanic, 4.8% other, and then our special education environment is 11%, and our gifted is 16%. Our special education, as you can see, dropped from last year down to 5, and our gifted has increased 2 percentage points, which is kind of an anomaly right now when we look at our longitudinal data, but we'll take it. Graduation rate, we're 93.4. We raised that rate again to 93.4. It's not been checked yet. We just received the file today to verify everything. So again, that's not official, but we hope it's going to be that, and maybe we made a mistake and it's going to be higher, but we'll just see. But as we steadily increased, and if you noticed on Ms. Alford's slide earlier when she talked about the success rate of the different increasing of them being on tap, they're 69% is where our juniors were. They are going to be pivotal on getting those students either back in our environment, or if they stay at Monroe County Achievement Center, they're going to be the pivotal piece next year in getting back up to that 90% or higher graduation rate. And we're working really hard with MCAC to make sure that we are supporting them in the way that we need to, because we have a large population of juniors over there. All right, out of all of our areas of EOC, all of them increased except for American Literature. We dropped from 84.6 to 80.8 in American Lit, which is still not a bad score compared to the global and the state averages in those areas. And this is just a little more of a breakdown. I left the married persons face-to-face on there along with the 2022 data from last year, and we dropped a little bit face-to-face from 93 to 89, but we actually overall went from 80 to 82.5, so that was a plus. Biology went from 79.9 to 85.3, but our face-to-face, and when I say face-to-face, that's the kids that are sitting in front of our teachers at Mary Persons High School, not our online learners and not the students that are doing other alternate environments. So again, a testament to our teachers and the work they do in the classroom. 11th grade Lit went from 84.6 to 80.8. Face-to-face went to 90 to 88. We had a new teacher in place, third year teacher, first year to us. Had kind of a rough first semester, got about a 65% pass rate, made some adjustments. She was learning from one of the best I've ever seen, Lori Greenway. And so we entrusted her, and she said, just give me a little more time. She's gonna get it. She's getting there. She's learning the tools of the trade. She up to 80-something% the second semester, so I think she's even gonna continue to grow with that leadership from our department head. U.S. History went from 80.7 to 84.2, and again, face-to-face, it remained the same, which was a plus. All right, our advanced placement data just came in, our AP data, and this was, again, I've called around to a couple other schools. They're still looking at their AP scores because we have an increase from 68% making 3 or better to 83% this year. That is a phenomenal increase in AP. I don't know what we did different, except we put a new environment in place. We put them over at Hubbard's old lunchroom. They were off campus. There was nothing to interfere with them. They reported straight there. They went in, they took their test, and they left. So that's the only thing that had really changed. Tasha Burston does a great job every year with that. And when these scores came in, we were both like, what happened? What did we do? We need to figure out what we did so we can keep doing it. But in those green areas, the bright green, all of those scores increased. And then the greater than 90% pass rate in those 3 areas. And then again, overall scores from 68 to 83 is kind of an anomaly, I think, but I'm waiting to hear from some other principals to see if they increase that much. But our teachers do a fantastic job. I have to do a shout out to our biology teacher, 95%. Of course, statistics was 100%. That's fantastic, but she taught fewer students than the biology. But the biology overall is the hardest curriculum to teach on an AP level. And we went to a year-long curriculum with that a couple of years ago, and Lauren Griffin knocks it out every year. 95% pass rate is just unheard of in the state of Georgia. I would say she was probably in the top 3 in the state of Georgia. I haven't found anybody that scored any higher than her, so that, again, just a testament to what they put in the classroom. Areas of focus for next year, of course, safety. Just as everybody has said in this day and time, you have to keep that number 1. Improving milestone scores from 2s to 3s and 3s to 4s, because we're not monitoring CCRPI right now, but we will hopefully get it back. And we're seeing some of our scores drop from the 3s to the 2s, 4s to the 3s, and we just need to get in there and do that extra little work to boost them to those next levels. ELA scores, of course, that's the only area we went backwards in, so we're hoping to focus on those and change some things up there. Promoting the social and emotional well-being of students and staff. I don't think this is going to go anywhere, just like everybody has said in their presentations before me. You've got to keep that culture. You've got to keep them pumped up. Those kids, the students, and the teachers are in times that we've not experienced as far as the social and emotional situations that these kids deal with. So that's going to definitely be a focus for us. Increased student leadership opportunities and training. We've got one group that we're going to train through the community. It's going to be like the Leadership Monroe, but it's going to be Student Leadership Monroe. We hope to get about 10 kids involved in that. That's going to be a new program for us this year. And we're also going to start a new leadership series through the Student Focus Team to try to promote some more. We see the same leaders in a lot of different places, and we just need to start promoting more kids to be leaders, because some of them have to be tapped in order to know that they've got the confidence and whatever the leadership that they need. And so we're going to try to do a better job of that. And then, of course, as far as our teaching and learning goes, co-teach strategies, social emotional learning, and effective champ time usage will help us on those 2s to 3s and 3s to 4s. All right, I gave all of y'all a list of our highlights because there's a lot, and that's not all of them. I've got them separated out on screens. We got the Athletic Directors Cup for the second year in a row. Huge accomplishment for us. That is a trophy that is kind of prized because that's kind of a culmination of all of your sports and all of your competitions across the way, not just a particular sport. But as you can see highlighted through some of these highlights, it's region champions, state champions. I mean, they are just all throughout. So our coaches and our students are just stepping up to really do what they need to do in order to show their school pride and to compete the way that they need to compete. Again, FFA, state champions on the field, state champions, robotics, place and region. I mean, they're just really doing a phenomenal job overall. And I know I'm going to get to 10 minutes, so that's why I gave you a sheet to look at. I'm at 2C. All right, so we had 2 teachers this year. David Meeks and Christy Calhoun were chosen. David Meeks, he does not like us to use that cheerleader word when we talk about this, so he's the Middle Georgia Reese State Social Studies champion for this area. And then Christy Calhoun was chosen to be on the foreign language task force for the state, or for, excuse me, Middle Georgia Reese. They're working with the state. This is a new addition to our campus. Will Meeks is a project that y'all approved, and he finished it over the 4th of July break. It's our outdoor classroom, so we're looking forward to using it, utilizing it, moving forward. I told them I was going to have my first faculty meeting out there, and they told me to wait till they added some air conditioning before I do that. So we're looking forward to the teachers utilizing that, and Will is ecstatic that it's done and behind him. And again, New College and Career Academy and Freshman Campus, we have finalized the plans to send to the state. We actually got the classrooms and everything like we should, so that was a huge accomplishment for us in the spring semester and this summer. And so that has been turned in. And then these are also highlights that are on your sheet as well. Again, 93% graduation rate, super proud of that. We had an awesome graduation in May. And then the rankings are still there, so we are super, super proud. And again, we're going to continue to provide a quality education experience for students both in and out of the classroom, and we think that's what's most important because that way all the other stuff kind of falls in place when you take care of them in the classroom. And are there any questions or comments? I got a few pictures in there, but I knew that if I went through and explaining all of them, that I would definitely be over 10 minutes. So anyway.
Well, introduce your assistant principal.
Absolutely. I'll bring up the fab team, my dream team. Got Sharonda Strode, she's my assistant principal for instruction. Got Mr. Thomas, is that you, Josh? Oh, okay. Got Tommy Schoen, he is our 9th grade freshman campus principal, and I got Mr. Robert Lindsay, which is our assistant principal at the main campus, and our AD. So this is the dream team that works with that dream staff to do what we can at Mary Persons.
So Ms. Strode came from Monroe County Middle School, and Mr. Young came from Hubbard Elementary as an AP there, and he was taking the role of Miss Alford when Miss Alford moved over to the Achievement Center. And Miss Marion obviously has been there 13 years, about to start her 14th, and about to start her 2nd year as the principal there. So fantastic job.
So with all of those, we're going to take a 5-minute break, and we'll start back at 6:40. So I'll call the meeting back to order. Our next agenda item is the financial report. So Chris?
All right. Well, we've come to the end of our fiscal year, and we're doing pretty good. Just like every year for June, these figures do not include any accruals. Remind you that we accrue our July and August teacher salaries, so those numbers will be included eventually in this expenditure number. So you can look at that $43 million, and it's going to go up, probably 6 to 6.5 million once the dust settles. And the revenue, we still have to accrue our July and August QBE revenue, so that number will go up as well, but not as much as the expenses. But we still have done pretty well for the year. The percentages, you know, we've got one that's 112%, but it's only $64,000, so it's a large percentage, but not a whole lot of money difference there. Second page is our debt service. Yes, ma'am.
You said the expenses gonna go up and and your money's gonna come in too. What do you think we're gonna really end up with ending fund equity?
Actually, I did a real rough estimate.
You knew I'd ask that question.
And our fund equity will, according to my calculations right now, will only drop by about $100,000.
Oh, that's super.
So that's why I'm saying, you know, we're doing real well.
Possibly be more than that.
And it could be more or less. I mean, because our accruals, this time of the year, we just never know what's coming in and how much. So, but I think we're okay. We would have loved to have had that $3 million that we lost through the plant share situation, but
still, that's good shape.
it's, yes, ma'am. The second page is our debt service. We've made our loan payments for the year, so that's all at 100%. The third page is our capital projects. Our SPLOST revenue has been going on a roller coaster ride for the last few months. For June, it was $627,000, which was more on the upswing. So hopefully, with the summer driving season, people are stopping, eating, doing all the different things here in Forsyth. So hopefully, it will continue in that direction going forward. And then, last but not least, is our federal funds. And like I say, every month, we spend it first and then recoup the funds. So at the end of the year, that bottom number will be 0. So, are there any other questions?
Just for clarity, the ending fund equity right here says roughly 6.6 million. Is that what I'm looking at on page 2?
Not bottom of page 3.
Bottom of page, what?
Oh,
Excuse
for
me.
capital projects?
It's just for capital projects.
Yes,
Okay.
but we have to make bond payments out of that and other things. Not that we are tied that money up, but I think there's gonna be some discussion later about some of those resources being used. But, most of that is for debt payments in the future. All right,
Well, thank you.
you're
Good
welcome.
job. All right. The next agenda item is, I'm gonna open up for a public hearing on the budget. We're legally required to have 2 public hearings, so this will be the first one. Jackson Daniel will present budget information, and then we'll open the floor for any public comments, strictly about the budget.
Good evening. So, for board information and for everyone who's here, and I think it'll be on the screen and it'll be up here for the board members. So, I'm gonna just walk through kind of where we are, which is the same place for board members that we were in June when this was approved for advertisement. The budget continues to change. The state is sending updates on grants, some of the CTAE grants and some of the other categorical grants that come in. Revenue is changing, the digest is changing as we try to look and project. So back in June, we kind of drew a line and said, this is the budget we're going to advertise, we're going to hold tight here, and then we're going to have these public hearings that have been advertised in the newspaper, have been on our website, and then we're going to move to the next phase, and we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. So what you see on the next page, this is the ad that was in the newspaper and has been on our website, and it sets all of our funds that Mr. Johnson just went through. So you've got other state funds, those are the lottery funds that fund pre-K, federal funds, capital projects, and debt service. We're going to focus on the general fund because that is the majority of our expenditures, the majority of our revenue, and the direct instruction that we do. Not that there's not instruction in the other areas, but this is the biggest chunk of it. So those are the same numbers that you looked at. In June, we're looking at a just under $55 million expenditure budget. If you compare that against our 2023 expenditures, not the budget, but the expenditures, we're at 51.3. So that's a difference right now of $3.6 million that we would need to make up to fund that budget.
What was our budget last year?
It was in that same vicinity of 51.
50.3.
50.3, okay. So, some things go up during the year, some things that we add, so, but right now we're looking at an increase of $3.6 million in expenditures.
What do you attribute that increase of 3.6 to?
We're fixing to flip the page and start to show you.
Okay.
All right, so salaries have increased 1.8 million, and that includes scale increases that you approved back in May, step increases, so that's just the longevity steps that our employees get from one year to the next, and then new personnel, and we talked about those new personnel that were added because of student growth. You've all heard this before, state health insurance. Our contribution towards state health for our employees went up 62%. In my 27, 28 years, that is the largest single increase in TRS and state health in anything that we've had. So that is our local contribution. That does not count what the employees pay in premium that comes out of their check as a deduction. So that's almost 2.6 million. And then teacher retirement is based on gross salary, so there's another 85,000. That is kind of in line with the salary increases. Next, industry-wide increases in property values and weather conditions. And basically one of our neighbors to the north, Spalding County school system, got hit heavily with tornado damage last year. You go back a couple of years, you see Noonan, you see these other systems, and then in the southeast, Florida school systems have had flood damage. So industry-wide, property and liability insurance has gone up. So that's about $60,000 increase. Natural gas and electricity, and this is based not on an increase in consumption because all of our physical plant's the same as it has been, it's the cost of energy. And so we're looking at $242,000 increase in those budget lines. And then fuel, the fluctuating cost of fuel, $238,000. Do want to show you that some of our areas have gone down. So the next software Mr. Griffiths and his team look, and the instructional team look at software and assess it every year to make sure that there's a use for it. If there's something that we've grown out of, or maybe it didn't get the use that it needed, we'll make changes. We'll look for ways to economize. So the software budget has actually gone down $17,000. In classroom supplies, and this is a factor of the state funding that is put in for operations within the classroom, $239,000 reduction. That doesn't mean that the revenue didn't go up. We hold back a percentage of the state funding for system purposes, but that allowed us to actually reduce the total classroom supplies by $239,000. Next slide, general fund expenditures, and this is just a breakdown. Salaries are 59%, benefits 29.4%, and then everything else that is not people related, 11.5%. So let's look at that 11.5. That's $6.3 million, and within there are a lot of what I call fixed expenses, things that we can't live without, things that are going to be here no matter how many students we have, no matter how many days of school we have. So again, property and casualty and fleet insurance is about $300,000. Workers' compensation coverage, $260,000. Energy, $1.1 million. Electricity and natural gas. Fuel for the yellow and white fleet, $610,000. The classroom, software, total classroom, and that's instructional and administrative, $545,000. Classroom supplies across all of our schools, $1.1 million. So that's pens, pencils, biology supplies, ag supplies, anything that is used in the classroom for construction. And most of these are consumables. So it's not computer equipment necessarily, it's not software. These are things that are bought every year. Building and grounds maintenance, and I backed the energy cost out, $903,000. Communications, phones, cell phones, we've just taken a step in the past month to change our telephone system to save money, and cell phones are porting over to another carrier to save money. But that's $200,000 for all of the communication procedures that we have. Our SROs, this is money we pay to the county and individually to officers, $443,000. This includes event security, football, any sporting event, any other gathering, and then crossing guards. And then fleet maintenance, so that's, again, white and yellow fleet, and I backed the fuel back out, but a little over $300,000. So 5.8 are these big ticket items. So you whittle that down, you get down to a little less than 1%, $450,000 is everything else. Okay, then that might be paper, that might be copy machine fees, that might be travel, that would also be things like professional development registration, supplies, your professional development, attending conferences, the travel reimbursement, legal expenses, postage, drug testing fees for the transportation, the DOT required drug test, fingerprint fees that are required under GBI. We pay for every fingerprint set we do. So memberships, RESA, Advanced Ed, annual basis, there are membership fees. So all that comes out of that $452,000. So it's just to show you that outside of people, in perspective, there's not a lot of other things in the budget. And many of those things are pretty well required and fixed. So where does that put us? Let's look at revenue for a minute. This hasn't changed. Local revenue, $26.6 million, and that is based on the tentative digest we received in June that we did some figuring on, and the current millage. It does not include a millage increase. That is the current millage rate. So this does factor in the reduction at Georgia Power of property values. It does factor in residential and commercial growth. State revenue, $25.2 million. Again, those state grants are to be distributed. We have recently received a amended allotment sheet from the state. They've added about $60,000 to the transportation budget. We'll take any dollar we can get. That's not a lot of money what we spend on transportation, but we'll take it. Federal revenue, about $56,000. That is a contribution towards JROTC funding and the salary of our 2 instructors that comes from the Department of Defense. Total of $51.8 million. We have committed $1 million of CARES funds in the last year of CARES towards this budget. Fund equity, we have tentatively committed another $1 million that would come out of the figure that Mr. Johnson talked about earlier. That gets us to 53.8, so that leaves that same expense over revenue of $1.1 million that we would need to deal with as we get ready to finalize this budget through looking at the digest and set millage. Let me just stop and see if anybody's got any questions at this point or comments. Mr. Johnson, if there's anything to add, or Dr. Finch. Okay, so what's next? Next steps, the state statute requires 2 public input sessions on the budget. This is the first one. The next one will be a week from tonight at 5:30 at a call meeting, and those have been advertised in the newspaper and on our website. At that point, after 2 public input sessions, you can consider approval of the budget. Does that mean the budget stops once you approve it? No, it means we can submit it to the state, but it's going to continue to be adjusted and amended over time as we hire, as we have people that leave us, as we get updates on the digest, as we begin to get tax money, as the state tweaks their funding. All of those things are going to continue to change. We hope to receive a final tax digest at some point. We've received 2 tentative ones, and I'm going to explain a little bit about how that works. So the tax assessors do all of the real property, the real estate, the commercial, residential, all of the industrial, all of the forest land, et cetera, et cetera. Those are done by the tax assessors. So the first digest we had was strictly what the tax assessors touch. The second one came in from the tax commissioner. She does motor vehicles, mobile homes, timber, and that sort of thing. So she puts those values in. So you take those 2 and put them together, and you have to look at the assessments. The third part of this comes from the State Department of Revenue. They do the utility values. Right now, we're working on last year's utility values, and we will continue to work on those because the state typically doesn't send utility values out until October or November. We can't wait that long to finalize a budget and to do millage rate. So there's always, I always say there's a little bit of a blindfold on when we're doing that part of the budget. So at that point, when we get that tax, and when I say final, it's not really final, because it's going to continue to change too. At that point, we can consider option for millage rates and set a calendar for approving the millage rate, which will allow the county to submit the digest to the state. Other considerations, we're going to continue to monitor the state revenues and amend them as necessary. We're going to add and adjust revenue and expenses as the state grants are distributed. We're going to adjust the expenditures as necessary. You're going to do some hiring tonight. We're going to need to reflect that in the budget. New staff, we have met, the business department has met with most of our new staff over the past 3 or 4 weeks. We're finding out who's going to sign up for state health and who's not. Those teachers that are not signing up for state health, that's about $19 grand per employee that we can pull out of the budget, because we go ahead and budget for everybody taking state health when they're hired. So we don't know when they're hired in April until they come on board whether they're going to sign up for state health. We're going to meet with the county officials to make sure we have all the information we need on the digest. There are a number of forms we have to fill out. There's a rollback calculation form. There are other forms that we have to do with the Forest Land Protection Act. There is information that will come to us for the tax abatement for Five Below. That will not be reflected in the digest. That is a figure that will be given to us by the tax assessors. So we'll make sure that we account for that. And then we'll finalize FY23 financial statements. Well, we won't, Mr. Johnson will, and he'll give us a final fund equity figure. Between looking at millage and looking at fund equity, there will be some combination that we will use to finalize the revenue part of the budget. We will make recommendations and then you will give us direction. Now, I'll ask again, any questions? I think at this point you would open it up for the public. If anybody here has any comments or
Any comments or questions from the public? Welcome to come up and
public's opportunity to have
input.
input.
Looks like none. Is there any comments or questions from the board members? Don't hear any, so I'll consider this first public session closed. We'll do this again next Tuesday evening.
It's a date.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Daly.
you.
So next up is facilities and grants.
All right, you'll see that in your notebook, and I'll pull it up on the screen here as well for the audience. Just going to highlight some of these. The erosion is probably mitigation at Hubbard Elementary has probably gotten the most traction over the last couple of months. Bid opening occurred on last Friday. That was July the 14th. And so they'll be up under evaluation with an anticipated approval at August Board of Education meeting. And as far as the rooftop HVAC replacement, all of those have been installed and about 85% complete there. As far as the new bathrooms, the surveyors, I don't know if some of y'all may have seen them out there working. And so the coordination of those surveys and the subcontractors, that's already begun. You heard Ms. Marion's rooms, that means the lab spaces, that means the office space. We always have to upload that to the DOE. And Mr. Onstott has taken care of that after working through high school personnel. He also received some good news that at first we thought we were going to have capital outlay dollars of $400,000, and we're seeing that that has increased to a little bit more than $1 million. That is some good information coming back from the state through Mr. Onstott's office. And then the football field house piece is RFQ, which is for the qualifications there, is being developed. And that's going alongside the CCA and the 9th grade freshman campus there. And then there's going to be a determination in the near future as far as what construction management firm that we're going to use for those projects. And then the drive improvements there for T.G. Scott. Mr. Onstott, he met with the engineer, Mr. Don Carter. They went over a line of sight plan, so you can see that traffic line of sight there. He visited the site, that's the SITE site, and then the engineer will begin preparing those preliminary drawings for review by the board. And the pickleball courts, we're still finalizing that MOU between this body and the Rotary Club. So any questions about the facilities? There is no report for the grants at this time. Any questions? All right.
All right. So the next item is stadium expansion drawings.
And these, of course, are moving in tandem with the freshman campus CCA, the field house, and we were also asked by the board to put together some drawings for the expanding in the stadium experience, and possibly even widening, the space between the where the bleachers are and where the playing surface is. And so we put those drawings in front of you last month at the June 13th board meeting, and now it's time to at least approve those drawings if we're going to move forward with the project. So the administration requests approval of these stadium expansion drawings here.
I make a motion, we approve the stadium expansion drawings as presented to the board at the last meeting.
Got a motion and a second. All right, any discussion?
Can we get a price on the Dan Pitts Stadium? We know that has quite a bit of age. I know I mentioned it before as a secondary cost to be looked at separately during this process.
Talking about like setting it apart from the CCA and the Fieldhouse
from
project.
everything. Well, if we can include it all, great, but what I'm getting at is that we all know that stadium is very tight. Whether we tear it down, of course, we're gonna still call it Dan Pitt Stadium, but that's one thing I'd like to look at is what the cost of that would be. Just have their engineer, architect look at that and maybe do additional design just for that specifically as a option.
I think before we can even get that data, we probably have to approve some drawings that we can put in front of people that
Yeah,
can actually tell us what the price would be coming back. The only thing that I fear,
I asked about it before, I don't think it's been done, so.
about the price,
No, not the price, but a design for that.
a whole new stadium or
That Dan Pitt Stadium, yeah.
renovating Dan Pitt Stadium. I don't know if I'm understanding.
Renovating versus replacing it.
So building a whole new stadium versus
Correct.
the renovation cost.
Right. So renovation, what are you gonna do? Just, we're gonna clean it, cut it, redo the bleachers? Yeah, all that stuff is real tight, right?
Yeah, we're gonna widen it.
You're talking
Yeah.
more like the home side?
The home side, yeah.
Well, and I think there were some areas
What we
on the
talking
home
about
side
there?
that actually got extended up. And you can see that on the far left and the far right. You see these right here because they're really cut off right there. So that's actually a part of it too.
Did they put, did he widen it? That each bleacher set?
And that, you talking about, what do you mean by widening? You talking about widening where the field surface is?
No.
Or you talking about
bleachers
widening the bleachers themselves?
Mhm.
You talking about like the space between them?
themselves.
I don't think that was part of that. But as far, they do have a piece there that extends the home side up. And you can tell that on the far right and far left sides.
Hope they figure more space and labor in with that.
Yeah, I mean,
Because everybody's sitting in there, everybody knows your knees in the back and the front of the person in front of you the whole time.
That gives you a chair and lean back.
Yeah, everybody hates the chairs too. Yes.
They do that too. don't
I-
they?
Even the policy says no chairs. How many people have chairs coming there? Come on.
No, I'm talking about you use the knees of the person.
Oh, yeah, uh-huh.
Chair back. That's what happens.
I don't know about everybody being that tight with each other, so.
Well, the only thing that I would fear is that if we keep delving into this, I think we need to keep moving forward with the field house and obviously the,
No, absolutely, that's fine. I agree with
CCA
all that,
project.
but have the architect look at that stadium and have
what's
it.
it cost for renovation versus what's it cost to knock it down and build
Right,
it together.
tear it down and redo it. Because I don't see how you're gonna make more leg space in that stadium, is what I'm getting at.
You're probably not gonna be able to do that, but we would have to play probably an entire, visitor schedule, for maybe a season or two if we were to, unless we were gonna relocate the stadium, so just.
I mean, we're looking at spending a good bit of money of E-Splosh. I mean, if we're gonna do it right, we need to do it right. We know that that stadium is old and not quite what we want. So I'd like to see the cost or design to that at some point.
Yeah.
But the plan itself looks good. I mean, I agree.
Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, raise your hand. All right, and that is 6-0. So next agenda item is the policy IKBC.
And I'll call on Ms. Elder to come up and, speak about that.
So last month, we reviewed a policy that we need to put in place. Policy IKBC, which is material harmful to minors complaint resolution process. We had to post that for 30 days for public review and public input. So tonight, the administration recommends approval of this policy as presented. The attached policy, which you have in front of you, codifies a complaint resolution process for review of materials that may be considered harmful to minors in Georgia schools. And that is now a law in Georgia, and so we just want to put this policy in place to highlight that law.
Move to approve.
Consistent with the law. Second.
All right, got a motion motion to approve from Mr. Head?
Yes,
And second, okay. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. All right, that is 6-0.
Thank you.
All right, next up is College and Career Academy, board bylaws and articles of incorporation.
And I'll call on Dr. Brown to come up and present that information.
All right, good evening. Thank you. You have before you the revised Monroe County College and Career Articles of Incorporation and bylaws. We have made the changes that were brought to our attention in the last meeting, and these documents have been reviewed by the attorneys at Jones Court. And to summarize, the changes included the following. Ensuring a match on all documents with the name of the incorporation, so you will see Monroe County College and Career Academy on those documents. Both documents reflect the name of our current superintendent of schools, Dr. Finch. And then lastly, the Monroe County Board of Education will have the opportunity to approve board of directors, and specifically, you can find those revisions on pages 3 and 4 under Article 4. That change is made in Section 2, Part B of Article 4, which is on page 3, and then also under Sections 5 and 6 that deal with removal and resignation and vacancies of board of director members. So based upon the feedback that you guys have made, we've made those changes, and we are submitting those documents for your approval tonight so that we can move forward with the process.
move to be approved.
Okay. Got a motion to approve. Is there a second?
A second.
We got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I move we table it, due to the fact that we haven't had enough time to actually look at it. And according to this, is still not, looks like it's the same thing, but it's been reworded and put it in a different format, looks like to me.
The format was revised by the attorneys to meet
Yeah.
the state.
I don't think they had an idea of what we wanted maybe. So, for here, we're looking at Board of Education, we get to vote for these board of directors for the initial formation of the board prior to the hiring of CEO. And that's it. The nomination will be approved by the Monroe County Board of Education.
The other changes can be found on page 4, under section 5, for removal and resignation. You'll see that sentence that says that you have to follow the requirements as set forth under Article 4, Section 2, and then it says the same thing under Section 6 for vacancies. So the board would have approval for all
Of
board directors.
vacancies.
Of all
What about
board
the
of
next
director
time?
members.
Because the
So anytime there's a vacancy or resignation, you guys would have the approval.
Yeah, I think we need to.
Yeah, I just looked at this Monday and had not had time to look at it.
And I didn't get it.
I'm not entirely okay with how they are nominated and picked, so, or appointed rather.
We got it rescinded, what, Friday?
I didn't get mine till today, because however,
I think I saw it
Finch
Monday.
sent it, I couldn't open it, I had to get her to resend it to me. So I got mine this afternoon, so I have not had time to look at it.
I wonder if is there a state requirement about Central Georgia Tech and Gordon getting an appointment without, I guess, the others seem, it looks like the chamber with other various boards will make a recommendation, but it's still the board who makes the appointment. But it looks like on those two specifics, Central Georgia Tech and Gordon get the automatic appointment without running it by us.
Yeah.
Is that right? Is that a
I
state
think that's part
report?
of the technical system of
Okay.
Georgia. I can double check on that to make sure that I feel pretty confident.
I'd like to see that in writing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the objection I had at the last meeting was just, it took some of the power away from our board to make appointments. And so I guess I'd like to clarify if that's a state, a state requirement.
Having the post-secondary representation?
Right.
Okay.
Or, I guess in the grand scheme of things, I would prefer them to make a recommendation and then we approve it. But if it's a state requirement, then I'll go with it.
Because what if they're not in line?
We can research
with our
that,
vision?
maybe revisit at the next board meeting.
Okay. I think that's I think this is a great framework, and I'm appreciative of everybody who's had effort putting this together. I just want, this is the first time our board has had a board to appoint, and I want to make sure we get it right.
Okay, absolutely. Well, I do want to mention, Mr. Clay Copeland was here this evening. He's our chair for the board of directors. He was unable to stay, but he did want to communicate and make sure that y'all were aware of our upcoming meeting dates, so that you wanted to swing by, you're welcome to. That attachment is found in your materials.
We've kind of approved the board without having an entity. I mean, that in itself doesn't make much sense to me, but that kind of blows my mind, but true, there shouldn't be any meetings by any board if there's no entity to meet about. But that's just my opinion. And we haven't even got this put together. On top of that, the whole board, I mean, I'm assuming we kind of did it incorrectly to start with, but then again, that might be my own opinion.
When we first got started, I got into it about a year into the process, and we were following the state guidelines, and they told us, the college rep, the technical college rep, I think we put it together according to the guidelines we were given.
I'm not a big fan of having state guidelines telling us what to do with our college and career center either. So that's our responsibility, is what I see too. And what we put in it, should be our decision, nobody else's. But
the structure of the board, I think.
The structure of the board should be deemed more by us than the state.
From the state, that we have to follow to get the grants.
Well, that's fine, but, there's gonna be, like Gordon State College, why have they got an appointment on the Monroe County
Are
College
they
here?
putting money in?
I don't see that as even being a reason. I can see Central Georgia Technical College, yeah, some others, but it doesn't make much sense. So anyway, we need to go over it a little more thoroughly, and truthfully, I'd like to see the appointments done a little differently.
Maybe Mr. Head might like to see that big pack of information that came from the state when we had to develop the grant with all the requirements that we had to follow.
Maybe we don't want to see it.
The application that had the specifications of what all the components were. You might want to have that available.
That'd be good. Send it all out to us in an email.
No, it's like 200 and something pages.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I think
maybe like a zip folder.
Yeah, I think in the board meeting, I think we just flipped through it and nobody decided to talk about the highlights, I think. So,
Because we didn't see none of that anyway.
We got another meeting next
We
week.
got another meeting next week, so I think we
big
should.
packet, I think you might need a little more time.
But I think
I
we ought to
can only
be able to
read a page a
together.
week,
So,
You got a motion to table it.
got a
so-
motion to table. Is there a second? All right, and all those in favor to table, raise your hand. All right, so that's 4 in favor, all those against. All right, it's 2 against, so the motion to table carries. And we'll take a look at this again at our next meeting next Tuesday.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Brown.
All right, so next up is the HES custodial services.
All right, this was the presentation that was put before you at the June 13th meeting. There was a request from the Board of Education that we take that same presentation and make sure that it was fully vetted in front of our custodial employees, and that was completely done as well. And so what we want to make sure that we put in front of you tonight is again, we have two options, and we really want our board to have the flexibility to be able to choose between those two options. And one of them would be the attrition model, where we would choose two schools. Those two schools have already been chosen, and that would be Monroe County Middle School and KB Sutton, and all the other custodians would be put into the other buildings, while HES would take over those two buildings, or to go the all-in model. And that would be that, HES would take over all the facility space and manage it from there. One caveat that I will add is that, we would still have to have some custodial support services that were kept as full employees for us. And that would, y'all asked about this space over here, and y'all asked about Monroe County Achievement Center as well. And then there's other things like electrical and plumbing and other things that are not necessarily covered by HES. They are covered by HES, but we would have to get them a la carte, which means we'd have to order the expense through them, which over time, we really feel like that keeping, an employee who could fix plumbing or fix electrical or do some, or be able to help oversee some of the larger facility space, that's still gonna have to be considered and probably still used. So we're looking at maybe 3 or 4 or 5, maybe staff still needing to be employed. And that would be more along the lines of someone who may still be an existing head custodian, or someone who can still do electrical and plumbing, because HES is not just going to come in here and do that, right? That's not their main core business. Most of it is just custodial services, not preventative maintenance or anything like that. So we may not necessarily, if we go the all-in model, you may not necessarily see all of the cost savings up front, because they still need to, over time we would, but we still need to make sure that we preserve some of those employees moving forward. So I would just turn it back over to Mr. Piven to make, that someone can make a recommendation about what they see best.
So all in, what you're talking about, that bench would really be all in for these schools per se, but our other facilities we might have some local.
You would still have some local support that would stay on the payroll for Monroe County Schools. That's right.
How did our custodians receive
They received it very well. Michael came and helped do a presentation. He had his other team here. Mr. Onstock was there to help support. I showed up there as well. But many of them understood that this was a process that was gonna, at the end, probably benefit them, because they're actually, when you move over to HES, they can actually move into a higher salary structure that they could really benefit a little bit more salary-wise through HES. And so some of the drawbacks to it, if you were to leave Monroe County Schools and go work for, I don't know, Heating and Air or Walmart or whatever, you would, you may leave some days that you had accrued here, whether they're sick leave. We don't pay out sick leave and personal leave whenever employees move totally out of the industry. Now, if you were to leave us and go to another school district, you can carry all that. But if you leave us and go all the way out of the industry, you would lose all that. Now, they would stand to lose that if they chose to go do that. So that's one of the downsides. But they understand that the reasons for us exploring this as an outside vendor, because of the dwindling population of custodial services, the very much dwindling of head custodial personnel, and then just us not being able to find any, and we feel like they can headhunt this a lot better than our current personnel can.
Dr. Fitch, last month we talked a little bit about going in with 2 schools and the advantages to doing that, whatever, and the all-in, there was more of a cost savings if you went with the all-in, as I remember. As y'all studied it, after talking with the people involved, our custodial staff, what's your administration, which model to go?
Well, if I was going to make a recommendation and I were a board member, I would recommend that we went all in.
The majority of the staff, they liked the idea.
Yes.
And if we go all in, I think it would if I recall, it saves us about 300,000 annually.
Could actually get more than that, but, you know, we're hesitant to actually say too much there because
Yeah.
we don't know exactly.
Give or
how many-
take, how about
yeah,
that?
Give or take.
Sounds good. All right.
I make a motion, we go with the all-in all-employee HES custodial services.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, raise your hand. All right, and that is 6-0.
Thank you.
Okay. The next one is an amendment to the BOE meeting dates.
Yes, and y'all have been very gracious to establish your July board meetings so as to avoid our annual, they call it the Gale Conferences, Georgia Association of Educational Leaders, and it'll toggle back and forth between the second Tuesday and maybe the third Tuesday, and so y'all have always tried to avoid it. Well, when we went to establish the board meeting dates back in March, when I was going to the Gale Conference this past week, I noticed that Gale has now moved to July 16th, so we're asking to change that from the 16th back to the 9th, and that's for July 2024. So that's the only date that we're asking to have changed.
I don't know about that.
All right. Ms. Bilderback, motions.
Second.
Mr. Head, second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, raise your hand. That is 6-0.
All right, thank you.
Next up will be public participation. Did anybody sign up to speak? Okay, all right, no one signed up to speak, so we'll move on to our next item, which is board training plan for 23-24.
And I'll call on Ms. Elder to put that in front of you tonight.
You run it down, right?
Thank you. Hi. So every year, we have to submit a board training plan that outlines the dates of our training for the school year. So I have included some potential dates based upon the dates that we used this past school year, and see if you would be okay with these dates to tack on any professional learning. The actual training that will be associated with each of these dates, very similar to what we did this year, but all of those can be changed or revised. They're just a placeholder for right now, so you can kind of see. But we have to have 9 hours of training a year, okay? That's the minimum, and I think we will definitely surpass that like we always do. So I have November the 14th as our first date. That is the date that we like to go into the school so that you can visit the classrooms and see teaching and learning, look at the facilities, and just to observe and see what's going on in the schools. I have that down for campus visits on November the 14th. And we'll do a 9 to 3. And we can adjust those times if we need to. But that's generally how long it takes. It pretty much takes all day. We'll provide lunch that day. And then February the 13th, that's the long one that we do we'll provide lunch. It'll be 12:30 until 5. And then we'll have our board meeting following these dates. And that's generally whenever we do our annual code of ethics, conflict of interest, nepotism, policy reviews, and other items that I've listed that we can adjust and move along the way. This is a living document. And then April 9th was our third training date. from 12:30 until 5. So in this GSBA Board Development Catalog, I'm going to leave this with you, give you a chance to go through this. There may be some courses that you're interested in taking, and they can be online if you would like to do some online training. We can also contact someone either from GSBA or RESA or other places that could come in and do training. Some of those topics are listed that you might be interested in. You may have something totally different from what's inside this catalog. I just want to give you some things to look at. The training that's sponsored or supported by GSBA, I just wanted to show you those support those domain areas whenever we do our self-assessment, and those 8 areas that we evaluate ourselves against. They just categorize some of that training under each of those domains so you can see that and how it aligns. But this is just for reference, so take this home, look at it. A lot of times you'll send me ideas on what you're interested to learn more about, and we can change these topics as you see fit. But I would like for you to get, or we would like for you to get into the schools on that November date so you can see what's going on and see our facilities, if that's still okay with everyone. The date's okay, and we can just tack on the board meeting afterwards. Are we still okay for the 5:30 start on the 14th? Didn't we do the board meeting earlier last?
No. One of the sessions we moved the board meeting up.
Because we
Because we end at 3, so we
ended
don't
at
want
3.
to sit here from 3.
That way we won't have a 2.5 hour gap.
That's right.
Yeah,
I mean, I can always tack in something else,
that's all right.
some more learning,
Or we can start.
but you can, dinner.
We always try to give you lunch.
Yeah.
Lunch and dinner.
Do you want to,
Food, always, that works good.
Food.
did you?
I told you, you can concentrate on trying to gather place to buy her food.
Because we'll end around 3 before the dismissal hits. So we will have some time, Dr. Finch. We can talk about that, and if we need to adjust the start time for the board meeting,
What
We'll
day was that
adjust the
again?
start time for
14th,
the session.
November
One of
14th.
them.
We can start.
Yeah. What do y'all want to do?
That works.
Yeah.
We can
3:30?
We can move the board meeting.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah,
Move the board meeting until
I mean, we're going to be
3:30.
here.
but doesn't mean we have to continue on to 8 or 9 o'clock again.
Exactly.
No.
Because we don't want to bring the sleeping bag.
Then you can get home for dinner that night.
Yeah.
So we'll just need to make sure we post that, Ms. Buckendale, closer to time,
That
because
sounds
the
good.
time's changed. If y'all, aren't there 2 meetings a year we're able to do that? As board,
Yeah.
adjust the time?
I think that's right.
1?
Yeah, because the April goes to 5, what you said then.
So 12:30.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
it's
just,
the 8.
yeah, it's the normal time. We're not adjusting the
And
time,
this
It's
is
the
right
5,
now.
so the only one we'd be doing early is in November.
so that's okay. Good. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
We recommend that approval.
Yeah, I need to.
I need
somebody
approval.
recommend.
Okay. All right.
I
Still,
second.
got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. And that is unanimous.
Thank you.
All right. So, Dr. Finch, do we need an executive session?
Yes.
for Personnel?
Personnel.
Move to go into executive session for discussion of personnel.
Second. All right, got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your hand. All right, so we'll enter executive session.
It's too quiet.
This is the longest couple of minutes. We always quit.
It's awkward.
Almost there.
Mhm.
We're waiting.
can't make it go any faster.
Did you take that, Mr. Radford, your, on the back of your chair, did you take that bench name off of there?
We're back.
I just wanna make sure you got it on.
Sure.
All right, so call the session back to order. Next item on the agenda is personnel actions.
And the administration recommends the approval of personnel that's submitted on the blue sheet.
I move we approve the personnel actions as submitted on the blue sheet.
All right, got a motion?
Second?
Got a second? All right, any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand.
Gotta earn his pay.
And that's unanimous.
Get it done.
So next item up will be reminders.
All right, we have a couple of reminders. Remember that our new teacher orientation, we call that TIP. It's called Teacher Induction Program. That begins tomorrow, July 19th, 8 a.m. at the Fine Arts Center. We'll begin breakfast and then introductions for those of you who can attend. Our System Title I annual meeting is Thursday, July 20th at 5:30 p.m. It will be held in the auditorium. Susie Bogus, that's Saturday night, 7:30 at the Fine Arts Center. Hopefully you can all attend that as well. Open house for our schools in the system. That's going to be Thursday, July 27th. The times will vary by school, so you need to be able to check our website from there. Convocation is going to be on the following day, and that is going to be on Friday, July 28th at 2 p.m. in the Fine Arts Center. Traditionally, convocation has been day 1 of pre-planning. It's actually going to be day 3 of pre-planning, and that was based on feedback from our schools and from our new teachers and from our principals, and just felt like convocation would probably be served best on day 3 instead of day 1. And then the back to school bash is on the following day, which is that Saturday, July 29th at 8:30 a.m. That's in the Fine Arts Center parking lot. That's when we have a lot of vendors that show up and a lot of free item giveaways and some school supply giveaways as well. And then the first day of school is Tuesday, August 1st. So that means the last day of pre-planning will be July 31st on that Monday. So this is on a Tuesday. And then your next board meeting is Tuesday, August 8th at 5:30 p.m.
Sounds good. Is there a motion to adjourn? A second. All right, got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your hand. All right, that's unanimous.